Welcome to Living Your Path. I am Cecile Ferry, a coach and astrologer. I'm here to guide you on how to live and work in alignment with your true self so you can find fulfillment and serenity. Hello, my beautiful people, and welcome to your Cosmic Catch-Up for this week. And there is a bit of a change, as you may have noticed, in the timing of this episode. And let me just explain what I'm doing. So this week is a little quietish, astrologically speaking. And then next week we have an eclipse, which is the opposite of quietish. And then the following week, in August, the third week is quietish again, so to speak. And then the fourth week, we have a second eclipse. So what I've decided to do for this month is, instead of giving you 4 weekly episodes, where 2 out of 4 are going to be very light on, I've decided to give you 2 episodes throughout the month where I can really focus on the eclipses, because it's the main headline. And as I'm recording this, we are 1 week away from the eclipse. But we are very well and truly into eclipse season, because the energy of an eclipse is said to be felt about a month either side. So definitely a week prior, we are in it. And I don't know if you felt it in the last few weeks. I definitely have felt it over the last week myself. About a week from now, I had an event that happened that made me think, whoa, okay, this is part of the eclipse story. Not that July was a walk in the park. I don't know if you need a recap, but it was quite intense, right? We had Jupiter going into Leo. We had this basket that was, very positive, but yet a lot of strong energies. We had a full moon in Aquarius that was next to Pluto and Jupiter, really strong moon. We had a new moon in Cancer that was also pretty emotional. We changed nodes as well, the nodal axis. I covered that last time. And so that wasn't a break, right? But we are following this with a month with 2 eclipses. So brace yourself. I think it's going to be a continued busy time where we're going to need sustained energy to get through things. It's also an extraordinary time of growth and opportunities. And the next few months will help us integrate that. But when it happens, it can be a lot. So if you feel your sleep is affected, your energy is affected, your vitality, also your mood, don't judge yourself harshly. It's a lot on our bodies and nervous system for sure. Okay, so just also before we get started, you may have heard or seen online a lot about the Lion's Paw gate on the 808, so 8th of August. I'm not going to cover that here, because number one, I'm not the most qualified for that. This is not falling under the traditional astrology. And so I just want to leave that to other people. And secondly, I personally don't believe in it that much. So you won't see me doing things like everybody else. I'll just give you here the things that I know for sure are true and useful. Now, so I'm going to be doing a podcast covering from now until the eclipse and just after it. So let's say the 15th of the month, the first half. And then another podcast episode will drop around the 20th in 2 weeks' time. That will cover the second half and mainly the second eclipse, okay? So before we get to the eclipse, I have 2 transits to cover for this week. So on Thursday in the US and Europe, and will be Friday in Australia, Venus is changing sign. It's in Virgo now. It's going into Libra. And that's really good because Venus rules the sign of Libra. So it's at home there. So Venus loves it there. And Libra is the sign of beauty and relationships and harmony and fairness. And when Venus is in there, it's exalted. And therefore, for us, it's a great time for beauty and harmony in our relationships, in our finance, and also our values. So obviously, a great time for your love life, whatever stage you're in, right? It could be a time to rebalance things if your relationship, maybe you've been giving too much or taking too much, or you feel things are not really fair, it's not an equal partnership, or it's not feeling aligned, Or it could be that you're seeking new love, and that could definitely happen under this transit. Also a great time for beauty, for your look, for your appearance, for your aesthetics, and surrounding yourself with beauty. Absolutely. So great time for new haircuts, for makeovers, for buying yourself very elegant clothes, those kind of things. It's time for beautification, of course, and time to harmonize in your relationship. So some ideas of question for you is, where am I giving too much? And what would fairness look like here, in either relationships or in finances? Just really enjoy this positive energy, which will also be great for collaborations, for all kinds of partnerships and negotiation, right? So keep that in mind. Like Libra is about diplomacy, fairness, reaching that win-win solution. So you're applying that into this area of your life, the love, relationship, and values. Just be mindful, the shadow sign of it is we may be people pleasing too much with Libra and not saying what we think to avoid conflict, or be too much in indecision. And then it's a beautiful transit that I wish you to enjoy until the 10th of September. The second transit I wanted to cover is on Sunday for Europe and the US / Monday for Australia. Mercury is changing sign and entering Leo. That's really important because Mercury has been in Cancer for weeks, because it traveled through Cancer and then it went retrograde all the way down, and now it has regained what it was retrograding on, and it's moving across to Leo. So it's officially the real end of this shadow period, and it's going to change the deal. And that's going to make it even more Leo energy, because we already have the Sun and Jupiter in Leo. So Mercury is coming to the party. And that means that all your communication, your thinking is going to take on the Leo spirit, which is vibrant, which is coming from the heart, which is about being creative, which is about speaking confidently. Typically your words will carry that extra charisma. You will be really good with storytelling, with playful communication, expressing yourself. This is a time to kind of grab the mic, metaphorically speaking, and sharing what you want to say and express it, whether it's through written communication, it's public speaking, it's writing a book, it's just speaking up in a meeting, So that's the energy that we will have for the next couple of weeks. So I think you can ask yourself during that Mercury transit is, where are you editing yourself? What experience could you share that might help someone else? Think about really getting that voice out of you. Just watch for the negative side of it, where maybe you might talk too much about yourself, or maybe simply talk too much like you've got the mic and you're not listening enough, right? Or on the other hand, you might be speaking up, but then you have this big need for people to clap and to say, yes, this was great. You need the feedback, you need the positive feedback, the approval, the praise, the validation. And these are big Leo themes that we are working on, with the South Node being in Leo for the next 18 months. So you'll hear me talk about that over and over and over again, and more on that in a minute on the eclipse. But this is a really good time to use your words to not just express yourself, but empower other people. It's like you're going to bring some sunshine to other people. And this isn't about being on top of them and dominant. This is actually about helping them rise themselves. So a really good time as well to lead, to really show up as a true leader, to be warm, as I say, speak from the heart, and be generous with compliments. Start paying more compliments from Sunday. I mean, you can start beforehand, but a really good time as well. I want to mention that because this is on Sunday and the eclipse is next week on Wednesday, Thursday. So I'm definitely saying that this Mercury in Leo is part of the eclipse story. And the eclipse is in Leo. So pay attention to the conversations, the exchanges that you have from Sunday onwards, because there may be the triggers, the catalyst through which the eclipse lessons will come through. Okay, now I'm going to get into the eclipse, which is Wednesday 12 for the US. So it's 1:36 p.m. in New York. In London, it will be in the evening, 6:36 p.m. And in Australia, it will be Thursday, the 13th, early in the morning at 3:36 a.m. It won't be visible from Australia. It will be fully visible from Spain, Portugal, Iceland, Greenland, and it will be partially possible in most parts of Europe, Russia. So you guys enjoy up north when you can. So this is the second eclipse season of the year. We have one eclipse season around March each year. So we had 2 eclipses and we've got 2 more. And as I said again, they will impact you already now throughout that week and for at least 2 weeks next to that. And then there will be another eclipse. So there is what is called the eclipse corridor in the middle, where I don't see the energy really coming down myself. So the second eclipse is on the 28th. So we are in this until really around the 10th, 12th, 15th of September in order of how we're going to feel. And eclipses are times of change, karmic change. Just for the quick reminder, I will say it each time there's eclipse season. The difference, like this is a new moon, like we have every month, but it's new moon with extra karmic kick. When I say extra, it's not 20% extra, it's 200% extra, okay? Extremes. Eclipses are very, very powerful. They are significant turning points, and they have a way to just kind of accelerate things in our lives, particularly redirecting us if we are on the wrong path. So eclipses have a way with us. It's one of those very strong astrological events where things, I feel, really happen to us very strongly. Of course, it's for us to get the lessons from that. But you know, when they say sometimes if you don't do it yourself or make the decision, then life will do it for you. I find eclipses typically do that. There's usually pretty big things happening, and it will be particularly strong for you if you have your sun sign, moon sign, or rising signs in, obviously, Leo, but it could also be Aquarius, Taurus, or Scorpio, because they will form straight angles. If you know the degree of those signs, look for anything around 20 degrees, plus or minus 5 degrees. If you've got planets in those signs, the eclipses will be for you, my friend. But I think everyone will feel them, and I'll talk to you about the other transit that are happening on top of the eclipse, and there are a lot. So I don't think anyone is going to escape that one. And again, it's a point of karmic endings and beginnings. Very strong beginnings for this eclipse because it's a new moon, solar eclipse. So new moon, new start, fresh start, and fresh karmic start. And it's next to the South Node. So that points to this eclipse being about releasing something from the past, releasing something that is familiar, that is part of our habits. So even though it's a new moon, there is something we need to let go of in order for the fresh start. And this eclipse will show us what it is. It will teach it to us. It will give us an event, a situation that will kind of force us to see which part we need to let go of. So what will we need to let go of? It could be our habits, our patterns, or it could be people. It could be relationships. But anything that is not in alignment with ourselves, and especially not authentically us, because that's the theme of Leo. It's about being authentic, expressing yourself and what's really inside of us. So when there is a gap between what's really inside of us and what we are doing or saying, and particularly with Mercury in the picture, well, this eclipse will redirect us. So it could be things that we also have in our behavior or mindset that are holding us back that we will need to let go of. Examples: doing things for approval, having the need to be liked, having a sense of pride that is getting in the way, right? Or ego-driven behaviors. Or it could be the way we tend to express ourselves that's not serving us. It could be our need to stand out maybe a little too much. That's the shadow side. But likewise, it could be that we're not expressing ourselves enough and we are keeping ourselves small, right? So all those things, I don't know what they're going to be for you, but these are the themes of the things that are South Node related that we need to let go of, and that this eclipse will help us let go of more or less strongly. I hope for all of us and for each of you that it will be as smooth as possible. But whatever happens, it's going to be for your highest good. So trust it, okay? And then it will be a fresh start. And the eclipse is going to remove what is blocking that, right? So that's how it's going to work. Now, that's the sun and moon next to the nodes. And if we look at whatever else is going on around in the sky, there are actually a lot of aspects at the same time. So I don't want to go into all of them because that will bore you to death and I'll be here for another 10 minutes. But just know that in the backdrop of this eclipse, there are a lot of aspects between planets. That means there is more energy and there is more transformational energy happening. There is an aspect between Venus, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. They're forming what is called a kite shape in the sky, which means that there will be a deep transformation of our relationships, our values, because Venus is involved, and our financial habits or how we value ourselves. So that's happening concurrently, or if you like, as a supportive aspect to this eclipse. There's also another kite, another of those shapes in the sky with Pluto, Mercury, Jupiter, and Venus and Uranus as well. So see, Venus is actually slotting to a degree that aligns with where the basket was. So it's kind of reforming. It's not a basket now, it's a kite. It's forming two different kites. And because this second one involves Mercury, this is about the stories that we say about ourselves. It's about our inner narrative, transforming how we perceive ourselves, how we are, and how we speak about ourselves. So that's also happening. Then there is a hard angle between Mars and Venus and Neptune. So watch out for some possible confusion or fog around relationships, like the type where you might idealize something or you might take something for real when it's actually a fantasy. And finally, Saturn is also trining this eclipse, which means it's actually a harmonious energy support. It's giving maturity, it's giving structure and responsibility to the process. So it's helping us grow up pretty much through it. So it's going to be a big eclipse. I mean, it sounds anyway massively redundant to say big and eclipse in the same sentence, but there is a lot going on. I'm excited as an astrologer because it's a huge event and we'll feel the after effect of it for a couple more weeks after. To personalize it, look into where 20 degrees Leo falls in your chart. That is the area of your life where you are going to see this karmic endings and new beginnings, where you are called to step up fully into the sunlight, which is very Leo-like. And it's where a new energetic cycle is starting. So for me, it's in my 9th house, which means it's the house of the higher mind. So it's typically higher education, travel, belief, philosophy, wisdom. It's also the house of teaching, publishing. And so that's where I'm called to step up more, and I will report back, but I can sense more is coming, and this is perfectly fitting because I am working on the evolution of my business and I'll be launching different things, and this podcast will change, heads up, from probably September onwards, roughly. So this is going to be definitely fostered by the eclipse. I can already foresee that. But for you, the eclipse could be in your 4th house of home and family, and maybe there's a big change coming with your place of residence or your parents, or it could be in the 7th house, and then the eclipse is going to disrupt your relationship, where you be called maybe to assert your needs more and be more yourself in those partnerships. Whatever it is an invitation to shine, to redefine what it means to really lead in your life and to express yourself more authentically. A keyword, if you want to sum up this eclipse, is self-reinvention. But don't make that mean that you're starting over and that you're completely recreating yourself. It's more like getting back to who you always were, but that has been lost, or you've been losing sense of that. You've been disconnected because you've been feeling the judgment of other people or so many other factors. And so this is saying, no, it's safe to be yourself, and you should, and it's giving you an injection of courage to do that. And at the same time saying, you no longer need to wait for permission to step up and to do that. I think it's incredibly empowering as an eclipse. Now, for the homework, because I want to give you real questions to ponder, because under an eclipse, things happen for you. You absolutely can reflect on all the themes I've just covered, but the eclipse is going to happen. However, what I want to give you as homework, which I always do, is piecing the story together. So eclipses happen in cycle, right? Like I talked to you about the nodal axis. So we've had eclipses in Leo before. And so I want you to go back. I'm going to give you the dates, because if you like, this is part of the same story. This is what I find absolutely fascinating with astrology. It's not just one eclipse as a one-off. Within the same sign, you're working on the same things. So the events are not the same. So it's not saying if last time you went through, you had redundancy, you're going to be made redundant again. Not mandatorily at all. But the same story is unfolding. It's like it's a different chapter. So things build on each other. Things evolve. It could be another flavor or another lesson of the same story, right? So go back when, especially we had a new moon solar eclipse in Leo. We had one in August 2017. Have a look. And then we had another one in August 2018. So look around that time. Look at those two new moon eclipses and see what was happening, and see if you can see common themes, and especially in relation to the house they were, the area of life that the 20 degrees of Leo is for you. You can start seeing a pattern where you can sort of have a bit of a guess where this is going to play out for you, and definitely write it down, because in 9 years' time, you can go back at the next series of eclipses in Leo. You can also see where you are. But don't worry anyway, this is the first eclipse of Leo for this cycle. We've got 18 months. This is the first one for this series, right? For this year and a little bit next year as well. Okay, so that's what I want you to do. And just to summarize, this is the time for a fresh start, which could be a creative project, creative dream, could be a business, or, in my case, for instance, the next evolution of it. Could be new hobbies, new romance, could be a fresh start with children as well. These are all Leo themes. That's why I'm giving them to you. And just to recap, this is about becoming more visible. You stepping into the sunlight. This is about expressing yourself fully. So you stop shrinking. This is about not waiting for permission or approval. And this is about leading from the heart, having self-leadership, using that courage. In other words, stop hiding your own light. And I think this is really, really positive. We have Jupiter in Leo, we have the Sun in Leo, we have Mercury in Leo. This is really powerful eclipse that will bring change, but really good, beneficial change. And that change might come via conversations, because Mercury just arrived in Leo. And 3 days after the eclipse, there will be a conjunction between Jupiter and Mercury. So Mercury will catch up to Jupiter. And when those two meet, Jupiter is the planet of expansion and Mercury is the planet of the thinking, of communication. So you can expect big ideas, big vision, big insights, big thinking, pretty much, So having this perfectly fitting, Mercury moves into Leo before the eclipse. It's kind of turning the microphone on, saying, let's be ready to speak up. Then we have the eclipse that sort of sweeps up and brings whatever it brings. And then the Jupiter-Mercury merger is going to give you a big aha that will likely be a breakthrough and change things for yourself. So there is really an interesting thread, and it's going to be a really interesting ride. So this isn't a time to be shy or to be afraid or to be burying yourself doing deep inner work at home. Not at all. We're not talking water signs. Like, this is a fire sign, and this is Leo energy. This is stepping up, getting on that stage, whatever it is for you metaphorically in your life. So this is the time, right, to not hold back. And I hope that I can support you and help you through coaching, or if you need a reading yourself, the links are in the show notes. I am mostly taken for August, but I will have spots from September onwards. So get through eclipse season. I think you do need to do that. And then when you're on the other side and you see what needs to change, and you most likely feel like, ooh, this is hard to do alone, reach out. Okay, my friend? All right, I think I have done it. So this will last you until the 15th of August, roughly. I will send you another episode that will cover the second eclipse, which happens around 28th, 29th of August. I just want to say enjoy it. I really hope it brings some powerful developments in your life. So take care as you go through all this astrology and the eclipse. Write down what's happening. Look back what happened 9 years ago, and stay just focused on being your true self. Remember that self-reinvention. It's the right time. So take care, everyone. Have a great start in first half of August, and I will be back in touch around the 20th. Bye for now.